أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Lesson number 129, Surah Ibrahim, ayah number 1 to 17. Surah Ibrahim is a Makki surah, and it was revealed at a time when the opposition was very intense. And in this surah, the stories of the previous messengers were narrated in order to comfort the heart of the Prophet ﷺ. Because when you learn that you're not the only one who has gone this way, you feel at rest. You feel you're not alone. You get inspired. You get motivated. So in this surah, the incidents of the previous messengers, and in particular glimpses and overview, has been mentioned in order to comfort the heart of the Prophet ﷺ. In this surah, there are a total of 52 verses. It's a very short surah again. 861 words and 3,439 huruf. And just as we learned in the previous surah, after Surah Yusuf, that two opposite contradicting things were presented, so that a person uses his own mind, and he uses his rationale, and he makes the decision himself to choose that, to opt that, which is beneficial for him. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alif Lam Ra. Huruf muqatta'at. Kitabun, a book, meaning هذا القرآن, this Qur'an is a book. أنزلناه, we have revealed it. And we have revealed it to who? إليك, to you. And what's the purpose of revealing this Qur'an to you? لِتُخْرِجَ النَّاسَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ, so that you can take people out of the darkness, you can bring them out of the darkness and take them towards what? An-nur, the light. So why has the Qur'an been revealed to you? To take people out of darkness into light. If you notice, al-zulumat is plural and an-nur is singular. What does this show to us? That there are many darknesses out there, but there is only one light. What are the various darknesses? One darkness is of ignorance. Another darkness is of misguidance. Some people are away from light simply because they don't know. Some people are away from Islam. Why? Because of their bias. Some people are away because of their disbelief, because of their shirk, because of their wrong practices. So your job is to take people out of these darknesses and take them to the light of guidance, to the light of Islam, to the light of Iman, to the right way of life. And how can you take people out of darkness? Just by telling them about the Qur'an? No. بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ, by the permission of their Lord. Meaning, you can only benefit someone with the Qur'an when the permission of Allah is there. When Allah allows, when Allah facilitates, when Allah gives the ability. Because many people are informed of the Qur'an. Many people are shown the way, but not everyone accepts. Who accepts? The one whom Allah has allowed, بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ, with the permission of their Lord, facilitation of their Lord, whom Allah has enabled. So you take them out by the permission of their Lord, and you take them towards where? إِلَى صِرَاطِ الْعَزِيزِ, to the path of the one who is mighty, and the one who is Al-Hamid, the one who is praiseworthy. And who is that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you take people out of the darkness into the light, where are you taking them? Onto the path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set, that Allah has appointed, that takes a person to Allah. And who is Allah? He is mighty, and He is also Al-Hamid. And Hamid is different from Mahmud. Mahmud is someone who is praised. But Hamid is one who deserves praise, whether or not people praise him. Hamid is praiseworthy. Why are these names mentioned over here? Because a person who walks on the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set, Allah will not humiliate him. Allah is Al-Aziz. He is powerful, and remember, one of the meanings of Al-Aziz is one who is respected. So similarly, the one who walks on the way of Allah, Allah will also grant him honor. And Allah will also not make him lose out. He is Al-Aziz and He is Al-Hamid. So in this ayah, the purpose behind the revelation of this book has been mentioned. And what is that purpose? That people are guided, that people are shown the way. that people are told what they should do. When the opposition, it intensified against the Prophet ﷺ, he was reminded of his mission. That this is your mission. You are here to show the way to people. You are here to take them out of darkness. And he is reassured that giving guidance is not in the hands of people. How can a person be given guidance? By the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we see that the way to light, the way to guidance, it begins with what? This Qur'an. It begins with this book. So if a person wishes to walk on the straight path, then he has to find the way from where? From where? From the book of Allah, from the Qur'an. But we see that every person who reads this book does not necessarily walk on the straight path. Every person who reads this book does not necessarily walk on the straight path. Each person who studies this book does not necessarily become a Rabbani. Who is it that benefits from this book? The one for whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed. And who does Allah allow to benefit from this book? The one who wants to know. The one who wants to be guided. The one who is in search of guidance. Because a person who is truthful in his desire for guidance, then Allah will definitely guide him. No matter how impossible the circumstances may appear. You know, the story of Salman al-Farisi, it amazes us. Look at where he was. And look at how he went from one place to the other. How impossible it seemed for him to find the right guidance. But because he had that desire, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him the way. So it happens by the tawfiq of Allah. And when does Allah give tawfiq to a person? When He wants to be guided. When He wants it really bad. Because the book can only help if the desire is there. If a person is not hungry, and you present the most delicious foods before him, is he going to be interested in them? Is he? No. He doesn't have any desire for them. Even if you present the most delicious, the most delectable foods, he's not going to enjoy it. What is it that enables a person to accept? It's the desire. So yes, Allah gives tawfiq, but that is directly related with what? The desire that is within a person. If he wants guidance, Allah will give him. But what is being emphasized in this ayah is that the way out of darkness into the light begins with what? The book of Allah. So if we want to show the way to a person, if we want to help ourselves, if we want to improve in guidance, then what do we need to do? Spend more time with the book of Allah. This is the key. This is the gateway. And if you start with anything else, it's not going to lead you to success. It's not going to make you successful. Because many times when people want to show the way to other people, they want to tell them about Islam, they talk about what? Different things, random things. Whereas what must be spoken about is the Qur'an. What must be told to people is the Qur'an. And this is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ did. He recited the ayat. He taught the ayat. And this is how people learned. We learn in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 257, that Allahu waliyyu alladhina amanu yukhrijuhum min al-zulumati ila an-nur. Allah is the wali of those people who believed, and He takes them out of darkness into the light. In Surah Al-Hadid, ayah number 9, we learn, هُوَ الَّذِي يُنَزِّلُ عَلَىٰ عَبْدِهِ آيَاتٍ بَيِّنَاتٍ لِيُخْرِجَكُم مِّنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ. It is He who sends down upon His servant Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam verses of clear evidence. Why? So that He may bring you out from darkness into the light. So the way out of darkness into light begins with what? The Qur'an. If a person is confused, what will solve his confusion? What will remove that? The Qur'an. If a person has doubts, what will remove those doubts? The Qur'an. If a person does not know, how will he learn? From the Qur'an. So this is how the way to guidance begins, from the Qur'an. And this Qur'an has been sent by who? The one who is Al-Aziz, the one who is Al-Hamid. Who is He? Allah. Allah is the one who, Alladhi, the one who, lahu, for Him, ma fis samawati, whatever that is in the heavens. If you notice, Allahilladhi, right? The lafzul jalala, it has a kasra. Why? Because this is connected with the previous names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ila siratil azizil Hamidi, Allahi. So all three are connected. The path of Allah. Who is Allah? الَّذِي لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. To whom belongs whatever that is in the heavens and whatever that is in the earth. He is the owner. He is the master. And if He is the owner, then He has the right to tell people what they have to do. What the way out of darkness into light is. And this Qur'an is from Him. So this Qur'an tells us what the way out of darkness into light is. وَوَيْلٌ لِلْكَافِرِينَ. And woe to the disbelievers. مِنْ عَذَابٍ شَدِيدٍ. From a punishment that is severe. Wail is a kalima of destruction, of wa'id. So wailun meaning destruction, woe. For who? For those people who disbelieve. With what? From a punishment that is very severe. And this severe punishment could be of this world and also of the hereafter. So we see in this ayat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has absolute authority. He is the Malik. He is the owner. He owns the entire universe and He has the right to guide people. He has the right to tell us what is right, what is wrong. And on one side, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed the Qur'an, which is mentioned in the previous ayah. And on the other hand, He has also placed many signs in the heavens and the earth, which is mentioned in this ayah. لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. And both of these, revelation as well as signs, creation, they take a person towards recognizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if a person wants to understand. So Allah has also sent revelation, and at the same time He has also appointed many signs in the heavens and the earth so that through them a person can obtain guidance. But those people who refuse to accept, who don't take heed, neither from revelation nor from the signs, for them there is destruction. Who are these people? Why is it that they don't accept? They are الَّذِينَ, those who يَسْتَحِبُّونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. They are the ones who prefer the life of this world, عَلَى الْآخِرَةِ, above the hereafter. يَسْتَحِبُّونَ, from the root letters ha, ba, ba. And istihbab is to seek love, to desire something. And istihbab is also to prefer one over the other, to love one over the other. So they seek to love the life of this world, meaning they prefer the life of this world over the hereafter. They forget the hereafter, they ignore it, it's completely out of their life plan. And the only thing that they're concerned about is the life of this world. Dunya is their priority. And they're surrounded by it, they're fully immersed in its enjoyments, in its pleasures, completely heedless and oblivious to their end. And when a person becomes like this, that his ultimate desire is the desire of this dunya, he does not care about afterlife, then obviously he's not going to make the right decisions. And when the truth is presented before him, he's going to disregard it. Why? Because he wants to fulfill his desires. He's not thinking long term. What is he thinking about? Immediate benefit, immediate enjoyment. So when a person's aim is to enjoy now, then he will neglect the akhirah. Then no matter what is shown to him, he's not going to accept. He's not going to change his ways. And when he becomes like this, other people who are following the right way, he feels threatened from them. Because he appears as bad. So what is he going to do? وَيَصُدُّونَ, and they stop عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, from the way of Allah. They stop other people from the way of Allah. They don't learn the Qur'an. They don't follow the Qur'an. And if other people are doing that, they stop them. They discourage them. وَيَبْغُونَهَا, and one way through which they stop other people is that they seek in it, meaning they seek in the way of Allah, iwajan, crookedness. What is iwajan? Crookedness that is intangible. When something appears to be twisted and bent. When something does not make sense. When there are contradictions. When it's illogical. So this is what they are looking for in the Qur'an. When they find out that someone is studying the Qur'an, what do they say? So you're studying the Qur'an in which men are allowed to marry 4 wives. They will try to say such things. In which it has been said, kill the disbelievers wherever you find them. That's what you're studying. وَيَبْغُونَهَا عِوَجًا. Why do they do this? To stop people from the way of Allah. Allah says, أُولَٰئِكَ فِي ضَلَالٍ بَعِيدٍ. Such people are in a far misguidance. ضَلَالٍ, misguidance, that is ba'id, far. Far away from what? Far away from the truth. They have gone very far, very deep in their error. So there is hardly any chance for them to come out of it. You know, when a person has made a slight mistake, then there is some room of correction and improvement. But if a person has gone to such an extent that he has abandoned it himself, and he's also discouraging others from accepting it, and on top of that he's putting in effort to present it as something crooked, then there's no way that this person will ever come back. Such a person has gone far into misguidance. And what does this begin with? Loving this dunya more than the akhirah. Making this dunya the ultimate goal, the ultimate objective. So such people, they're أُولَٰئِكَ فِي ضَلَالٍ بَعِيدٍ. They're engulfed in misguidance and ignorance. And therefore there is no hope that such a person will gain guidance from the Qur'an. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ. And we have not sent any messenger إِلَّا except بِلِسَانِ قَوْمِهِ, in the language of his people. Meaning every messenger who was sent, what language did he speak? The language of his people. Why? لِيُبَيِّنَ لَهُمْ, so that he can make clear to them. What can he make clear to them? The message that Allah has sent. Because just imagine, if the messenger spoke a different language, how would he communicate with the people? It would be very difficult. How would he explain to the people? It would be impossible. How would he make them understand? Impossible. So every messenger who was sent, he spoke the language of the people to whom he was sent to. And the message was also in that same language, so that people have no excuse for not understanding. And similarly, the Prophet ﷺ was also sent to the mushrikeen of Arabia. And what language did he speak? Their own language. And the Qur'an was also in what language? In the language that they spoke, so that they can understand. فَيُضِلُّ اللَّهُ مَن يَشَاءُ. Then Allah allows to go astray whomever He wills. وَيَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. And He guides whomever He wills. وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. And He is the mighty, and He is the wise. What is the objective of mentioning this? Because if you think about it, when the messenger has come from the people, so the people are fully aware of him, and on top of that, the message that he has brought is also in the same language, there is no room for misunderstanding. So, despite the fact that the people understood the message, they did not accept it. So there are some people who, despite understanding, they still go astray. Allah lets them go astray. He lets them because they opt for that. And on the other hand, وَيَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. He guides whomever He wills. وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. He is the mighty and He is the wise. If He allows someone to go astray, there is His wisdom behind it. If He gives guidance to someone, there is a wisdom behind it. And what is that wisdom? That a person who wants misguidance, he is allowed to go astray. And a person who wants guidance, he is given guidance. So we see a very important thing in this ayah, that every messenger who was sent to the people, he spoke their language so that there is no language barrier. And despite the fact that there was no language barrier, there were people who disbelieved. So in other words, there is no justification for them to deny, because they were able to comprehend the message. It wasn't that they misunderstood. It's their fault. It's their own mistake. It's not that the message was unclear. No. It was in their language. And on top of that, a messenger was sent to explain. So still if a person does not accept, then whose fault is it? It's his own fault. Then in the following ayat, Musa a.s. is mentioned as to how he also did da'wah to his people, how he called his people. And he also was one of them. He spoke their language. He understood them. He knew them. He could relate better with them. And this has been the case with every messenger, including the last messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now we will listen to the recitation. If you look at the beginning of the surah, the first ayah, Alif Lam Ra, Kitabun Anzalnahu Ilayka, لِتُخْرِجَ النَّاسَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ. What is the purpose behind the revelation of this book? What do we learn? So that people are taken out of the darkness. Because there are many darknesses in this world. And for that reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Qur'an. So what does that teach us? That if a person wishes to leave darkness, enter light, what does he need? The Qur'an. And if a person wishes to guide people, what does he need to use? The Qur'an. Because the Qur'an is the way that leads a person out of darkness into light. How? Because light is knowledge. And where do you learn from? From the Qur'an. But if a person only reads the verses and he does not understand what they mean, can he bring about a change in himself? No. Similarly, if a person does not follow the Qur'an himself, he does not understand it himself, can he deliver it to others? No, he cannot. So this shows to us that in order to benefit ourselves, in order to benefit the rest of the people, what do we need to do? We need to learn the Qur'an first and foremost. And we have to become extremely serious about it. Which means that we need to know the meaning, we need to know the explanation, we need to be able to recite it. Because unless and until we have this knowledge, we cannot pass this on. So the reason behind the revelation of the book was to take people out of darkness into light. How does that happen? بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ. And this path from darkness to light, this path of light, this path of hidayah, is not an ordinary path, because it's the path set by who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is Al-Aziz, and He is also Al-Hamid. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that who is He? That He is the one who owns the heavens and the earth, therefore He is the one who has the right to tell people. But those people who refuse to believe, who refuse to accept, for them is a very severe punishment. Very severe punishment. Which shows to us that if people are left in darkness, if people are not shown the way, then what is awaiting them? What is awaiting them? A severe punishment. Which shows again the responsibility on us, that we need to take the Qur'an very seriously. We need to pass this on to other people. Because if we become indifferent to other people, then what awaits them? Adhabun shadid, a very severe punishment. And who are such people? الَّذِينَ يَسْتَحِبُّونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا عَلَى الْآخِرَةِ. Those who prefer the life of this world over the hereafter. And if anybody is on the straight way, they stop them. And how do they stop them? By seeking deviation in the religion. And such people are far off in their misguidance, very distant from the truth. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has made arrangements for the guidance of people throughout time, which is why He sent messengers. And every messenger that He sent, he spoke the language of who? The people to whom he was sent to. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the message. And the Qur'an also came in the Arabic language. Why? Because the first recipients were Arabs, and the message that can be conveyed in this language cannot be conveyed in any other language. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى, and certainly we had sent Musa alayhi salam, بِآيَاتِنَا, with our signs. Ayat over here refers to the messages as well as the miracles that he was given. So Musa alayhi salam was sent with some ayat, and what was he told? أَنْ أَخْرِجْ قَوْمَكَ, that bring your people out, take them out, مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ, from the darknesses, and take them towards what? إِلَى النُّورِ, to the light. Take them out of the darkness of ignorance. Because the people of Musa alayhi salam, who were they? Bani Israel. Were they not believers? Were they not believers? They were believers from before. So what does it show to us? That ignorance is also a type of darkness. And knowledge is light. And this shows to us that the guidance of Allah is not just necessary for those people who don't believe. It's also very important for who? Those people who believe, because even they need constant guidance. Even they need to learn. So Musa alayhi salam was sent to his people that take the people out of the zulumat to the light. وَذَكِّرْهُمْ, and in order to do that, what should you do? remind the people, bi ayyamillah, with the days of Allah. Ayyam is a plural of yawm. And we have done this phrase earlier as well. The ayyam of Allah, what does it refer to? Major historical events. Major historical events in which there are many lessons for people. The days on which important events, they occurred. And such days are only remembered. Isn't it so? Such days are memorable. Ordinary days, when nothing special happens, you tend to forget about those days. But the day when something different happens, the day when something big happens, you remember that day. You record it. Such days are recorded in history. So ayyamillah, the days when major historical events occurred in which are great lessons for people. And such events, what were they? First of all, when people were afflicted with great trials, with great difficulties. Like for example, when in history some people were punished, they were completely annihilated, they were destroyed, perished. Similarly, it also refers to days when some people were given great blessings by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So remind them of history, of the days when some people were punished and some people were given many blessings, great blessings. Remind them of these days. Remind them of these events. Because inna fi dhalika, indeed in that, in what? In the ayyamullah, in remembering the ayyamullah, there are la'ayatin, surely signs, for who? لِكُلِّ صَبَّارٍ, for every person who is very patient, and shakur, who is most grateful. Notice, it hasn't been said sabir and shakir. What words have been used? Sabbar and shakur. Who is sabbar? Sabbar, fa'al, one who does a lot of sabr. A lot of sabr. Again and again, at everything. And a lot of sabr, not just a little bit, but a lot. And shakur, from shukr. Again, it's not just shakir, but it's shakur on the structure of fa'ul. Again, mubalagha, one who is intensely appreciative. One who is greatly thankful. Very, very grateful. One who acknowledges the blessings. So why is this being mentioned? That indeed in that, there are surely signs for every person who is very patient and every person who is very grateful. Because a person who is patient, only he can take lesson from history. Because when he reflects on the events that occurred in the past, then what happens? It gives him more patience. Like for example, when a person reflects on the fact, on how the Bani Israel were tortured, how they were persecuted, how the previous messengers, they had to suffer so much. When you reflect on this, then the problems that you're going through, they seem so insignificant. And it enables you to do sabr. So a person who reflects on the ayyamullah, he will get many lessons. But who? A person who does sabr. And shakur, one who is very grateful. One who is grateful for little blessings as well, for the smallest blessings even. Only such a person is capable of remaining positive and remaining patient in difficult times. Now, the ayyam of Allah, for the Bani Israel in particular, were when Fir'aun was destroyed. The ayyamullah, the major historical events in the history of Bani Israel, were which events? When Fir'aun was destroyed and the Bani Israel were saved from his tyranny, from slavery, from his oppression. So, Musa a.s., he reminded them of that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when a person remembers such things, then he can be patient and then he can be grateful. Now remember the context in which this surah was revealed. When was it revealed? When the opposition had intensified against the Prophet ﷺ and also the rest of the believers. And they are being told that if you think about what happened in history, you'll be able to do sabr. You'll be able to do shukr. So in this is a lesson for those who were suffering from persecution in Makkah. And after them, anyone who suffers from difficulty, when he's delivering the message of Allah to the people, when he's suffering from opposition, then this will enable him to do sabr. Because his problems will seem so insignificant compared to what the previous messenger suffered from. It will make it very easy for him. So every person who was in difficulty in Makkah and every person afterwards, if he reflects on this, he will be able to do sabr and also shukr.